You are 18, 3 days into reception at Fort Jackson, and your pay will stop rising in 6 years. You earn $2,225 a month. The top of this ladder earns $10,729. Nothing between those two numbers is negotiable. The pay table is a grid, rank across the top and years of service down the side, and every single row stops rising. The Army will let you stay 2 years past the point where it stops paying you more. This is every level of a United States Army enlisted career, and what it costs to climb. If you want to see how these careers really pay, subscribe so you do not miss the next one. We start at Level 1, the recruit. The recruit earns $2,225.70 a month, roughly $26,708 a year. Most are 18 or 19. There is no hourly rate anywhere on this ladder. There is no clock to punch, because you are not paid for hours. You are paid for being available, and being available has no upper limit. You get up before the sun. You carry what you are told to carry. You learn to fold a shirt to a measurement, and you learn that the measurement is not the point. In week 4, you fall asleep for 11 seconds during a class on land navigation. Your whole bay gets smoked for it, in the dirt, and nobody says a word to you afterward, which is worse. Getting in requires a passing score on the entrance examination, a physical, and a medical history that survives a records check. The military entrance processing station does all three in one very long day. A great many never make it out of the reception battalion, and the reason is almost never fitness. It is paperwork, a knee from high school, an inhaler, a charge that was dropped but never expunged. Here is what nobody tells you. The lowest cell on the pay table is temporary. After 4 months on active duty, your pay goes up by itself, without a promotion, and without anyone signing anything. That is the only raise on this ladder you get for free. Here is the part outsiders never see, and it is the whole shape of this career. The military pay table is a grid. Rank runs across the top, years of service run down the side, and you find your number where the two meet. The trap is in the rows. Every row stops. A specialist stops getting raises after 6 years of service. A sergeant stops after 12. A staff sergeant stops after 18. Past that column, the number simply repeats, year after year, for as long as you stay. Then there is a second rule, in an Army pamphlet numbered 601-280, called the Retention Control Point. It is the last year you may remain at your rank. For a specialist, it is 8 years. For a sergeant, 14. Read those two together. A specialist stops earning raises at 6 and must leave at 8. A sergeant stops at 12 and must leave at 14. There are 2 years at the end of every rung where you serve for exactly the same money and then the door. The specialist earns $3,815.40 a month, roughly $45,785 a year. Most are 22 or so. That figure is the ceiling, not the entry. A specialist at 2 years of service earns $3,303. Everything above that arrives on a schedule and then stops. You are competent now. You know your equipment, you know your section, and you know which staff sergeant to ask and which one to avoid. You are also given almost nothing to decide. In a motor pool in July, you sign a dispatch for a vehicle you did not walk around. It comes back with a cracked mirror it left with. The maintenance sergeant does not raise his voice. He shows you your own signature. Getting here requires time in service, time in grade, and a clean record with no bar to re-enlistment. The promotion is administrative for most, which is why the rank means less than the years behind it. Plenty of them sit here until the clock runs out. Not from failure, from comfort, and from a spouse who has finally found work in this town. Here is what nobody tells you. A specialist and a corporal are paid the same to the cent. One of them can give an order and the other cannot, and the pay table does not know the difference. Rank and money stop matching here, and they never match again. The sergeant earns $4,421.70 a month, roughly $53,060 a year. Most are around 25. This is the first rung where the Army hands you people. 4 of them, maybe 9, Their weapons, their vehicles, their sleep, their families when something goes wrong at home. You stop being measured on what you can do. You start being measured on what the slowest person in your team can do. On a range in the cold, you let a soldier go to chow before his weapon is cleared. Nothing happens. Nothing happening is why you remember it, because the next sergeant in that lane had something happen. Getting here requires promotion points, a board appearance, and completion of the basic leader course. Points come from marksmanship, from the fitness test, and from civilian education, and the cut score moves every month by specialty. A good many stall right here, and it is the school seat. You cannot promote without the course, and the course has a fixed number of seats, and your unit decides who goes. Here is what nobody tells you. 2 soldiers with identical records can wait 2 different years for the same promotion, because their specialties fill at different rates, and nobody controls that. The next rung is where the Army stops asking whether you want it. Here is the second thing outsiders never see. Every rung above this one is gated by a resident school, and every school is a seat that has to be released by the unit you work for. The Senior Enlisted course sits at the Sergeant's Major Academy at Fort Bliss, in Texas, and finishing it is written into the retention rules as a reason you may stay longer, which means your career does not only depend on your record. It depends on whether your first sergeant can spare you for several weeks in a year when the unit is short. A soldier who is too useful to release is a soldier who does not promote. The better you are at the job you have, the harder it is to leave it, and leaving it is the only way up. That never appears on any evaluation. The staff sergeant earns $5,267.70 a month, roughly $63,212 a year. Most are past 30. You run a squad, or a section, or a piece of a shop. You are the last rank that still touches the work with your hands, and the first that spends real time on other people's problems. You also start moving. A permanent change of station every 2 or 3 years, a new state, a new school, a spouse who starts a new job at the bottom again. In February, you take a soldier's word that he handed in his medication. He did not. The company gets an inspection, the bottle is found, and the paragraph that gets written has your name in it. Getting here requires a promotion board, the advanced leader course, and a fitness score that no longer improves on its own. The retention control point here is 20 years, which sounds generous until you count backward. A small share of good sergeants ever make this rung, and the reason is arithmetic. There are simply fewer squads than there are soldiers in them. Here is what nobody tells you. This is the rank where the Army starts to cost you money. Every move damages a spouse's earnings, and nothing on the pay table replaces that. The rung above this one is the last one most people ever see. The Sergeant First Class earns $7,067.40 a month, roughly $84,809 a year. Most are in their late 30s. That number is the top of the row, reached after 26 years of service, and there is nothing after it. You are a platoon sergeant. You own 30 or 40 soldiers and every piece of equipment they sign for. A lieutenant a decade younger than you outranks you and, if he is smart, asks you first. In the summer, you tell a company commander a route is passable because it was passable last week. It rained on Thursday, nobody is hurt, and you spend the rest of that rotation checking things you already checked. Getting here requires a centralized board, the senior leader course, and a record with no gaps in it. The board reads your file. It has never met you, and it never will. Hardly any of them make the next rung. Above this line, the Army stops promoting for competence and starts promoting for a very small number of jobs that happen to be open. Here is what nobody tells you. 20 years is when the retirement gate opens, and it is also when the pay table has almost nothing left to give you. The 2 dates were designed to arrive together, which is why what happens on a bad day matters more here than anywhere else on the ladder. On the 2nd of June 2016, at about 20 past 11 in the morning, a light-medium tactical vehicle carrying 12 soldiers tried to cross Owl Creek at a low water crossing on Fort Hood in Texas. The creek was in flash flood. The truck overturned. 9 people died. 3 survived. They were from the 3rd Battalion, 16th Field Artillery Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. One of the dead was a cadet from West Point, there for training. An Army investigation found that responsibility rested with the vehicle commander, who ignored warning signs at the crossing. The full accident report has never been released. When a newspaper requested it, 14 pages came back blacked out. The vehicle commander was one of the 9 who died. Every rank in this video was in that truck or above it in that chain. The sergeant major earns $10,729.20 a month, roughly $128,750 a year. Most are past 45. That is the top cell of the top row, and reaching it takes 38 years of service, which almost nobody does, because the retention control point for this rank is 30. You have no soldiers of your own. You have a commander, a formation of several hundred, and one job. Tell him the truth that nobody else in the building will say out loud. In a briefing, you soften a report about a training shortfall because the room is full and the commander is new. 6 weeks later, it shows up in a safety report with numbers attached. Getting here requires the sergeant's major course, a centralized selection board, and a record that survives 30 years of other people writing about you. Very few reach it. There is roughly one of these for a battalion, and a battalion is several hundred people. Here is what nobody tells you. The top of the enlisted pay table is lower than what a mid-career journeyman electrician makes in a strong union city. This ladder was never built to pay you the most. There is one place where the Army admits the grid is too flat. It is called the Selective Retention Bonus, and it is the only number in this career that is not on the pay table. The Army publishes a message listing which specialties it cannot fill, and what it will pay a soldier in one of them to sign again. It is a lump sum out of a table, set by tier and by how many months you commit. One re-enlistment can be worth as much as $180,000, and across a career, the ceiling is $360,000. That is more than a specialist is paid in 3 years, and it can be worth more than every longevity raise you will ever receive. The grid is flat on purpose, because it has to be fair to everyone at once. The bonus is where the Army stops pretending that every job is worth the same. Recruit, $26,708 a year, folding a shirt to a measurement. Specialist, $45,785, and the raises stop at 6 years. Sergeant, $53,060, and 4 people who are now yours. Staff Sergeant, $63,212, and a spouse starting over in a new state. Sergeant First Class, $84,809, and a platoon. Sergeant Major, $128,750, and one job, which is to say the thing nobody else will. Every row on that table stops. Every rank has a year after which you must go. The only question this career ever asks you is whether you can climb faster than the ceiling comes down. Next, every level of a Michelin chef.